Allira, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That's excellent. I'm so good. What have you been up to this fine Monday morning?
Well, it's like my first official sort of day of self-employment, which is kind of
Woo!
wild. Woohoo. So I'm trying to set up a really healthy routine. Got up at about 6 a.m., went for a walk, went and worked out, and now I'm here with you. So it's been like a pretty productive morning to say the least.
I'm so glad I could take part in your first day of being self-employed.
Yeah.
And what a way to start it with like an interview and a podcast of you sharing your story, like the thing that you've been wanting to
hmm
do for probably so long, stepping into that. I think it's
I
awesome.
know.
Congratulations. That's such a big
Thank
step.
you. It's such a huge step, and I've just been like dreaming of this, like, I reckon since I was a teenager, I just always knew that I wanted to just work for myself. I never wanted to work for anybody. So now that I'm here, I'm just like, cool. So, what do we do now? What's the next step?
It's always that fun discovery of like, oh, I work for myself and now I don't have a boss or like scheduled hours. What do I
Literally,
do?
I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so bizarre. So, yeah, definitely trying to get a healthy routine in place at the moment, which I think is really important.
Amazing.
Mm,
Apart from this, and this might be the
mhm.
answer to the question, but what's got you most excited in life right now?
I think is I have the ability now to just do whatever I want whenever I want. And I know that sounds like really scary to a lot of people, but having the freedom that I've never really had before is just like, that gets me so excited. The fact that I can just literally pick up my laptop and be like, I'm going to go work down the coast today. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just that freedom that excites me
Yeah.
so much. Yeah.
Amazing. And
Mm,
so previously before that, you've been working jobs and now this is your
mhm.
like fully stepping into your unique business, which we're going to get into. So is
Yeah.
that what it was before? You're working sort of a
I
normal job?
was, yeah, a normal like 9 to 5 grind in the
Yep.
corporate world, working for the
Whoa.
man. Just I was there for 5 years, and look, it was a great job, flexibility, like stable income, but it just wasn't me at the end of the day. So I just had to be like, just quit and just go for it. And now I'm fully stepping into my magic, which is really cool.
Yes, and it's super inspiring to witness people doing that. So I'm sure so many people are listening and going, damn, I want to do that too. So hopefully in this podcast, well, not hopefully, they will get some more inspiration to step into their power. So for people that don't know
Mhm,
much about you and the people listening or watching on YouTube,
mhm.
um, that's a hint to go watch on YouTube and subscribe. To both of us, do you have a channel?
No, I don't do YouTube. I'll leave that up to you.
Coming soon. And the people that don't know much about it, because we only met maybe 6 months ago. No,
Yeah.
or was it last year?
No, I think
Anyway,
it was like the
we met.
start of the year. Yeah.
It could have been because we met at the studio,
hmm
um, the Playside Studio. We're both involved with the amazing Bloom app,
hmm
and yeah, we're kind of sitting in the kind of sitting with everyone, and you're like, do you want me to do a card reading on you? And I was like, sure, why not? And
I
that's all
remember.
we've kind of had to
Yeah.
talk and communicate and connect.
hmm
But obviously, we've been connected on social media, and I love what you do. So, for the people that don't know much about you, can you give us a quick wrap up of your life from start to where you are now and all the amazing things that you do?
Yeah. I mean, I do lots and I love it. I'm really like multifaceted in that respect. And if you're listening, I am an Aboriginal woman, proud Yorta Yorta woman living down in Wadawurrung country, which is based in Geelong. I work predominantly in the wellness space. So I'm a meditation teacher, I'm an energy healer, intuitive reader, life coach. I mean, look, the list goes on. I was a curve model for like a little while as well too. But I do lots because life is just way too short to just be doing like one little thing. So I probably could write a book on my life. I've been through lots to get where I have to be like right now, which is amazing. But
Do it.
yeah, I do lots. Yeah, I do lots.
No, no, do the book, write the book.
Yeah, well, maybe I will watch this space.
Yeah. So what's been like the key moments in your life leading up to where you are now? Like where did you start and how did you get to
Mhm,
this point of being like discovering all these gifts, stepping into them and now being,
mhm.
self-employed and fully stepping into it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess people sort of always say there's always that one pivotal moment in your life that can like break or, shake you, break you, whatever it may be. And for me, it was I lost my mom to cancer when I was 17. And I just remember just going through those motions of just like, how am I going to survive without my mom? What am I going to do? Like, this is crazy. And from that point on, I sort of attempted to do uni and just like, live that normal life and just truck on, so to speak. Met the love of my life at that time. Sadly, him and I split up. I got married really young too, but all those little things have sort of led me to where I am now. I was a chef. I did like photography. I've done heaps over the last however many years to get me to where I am right now, as in just the magic that I'm able to create. But I think, yeah, that pivotal moment for me was when mum passed away, and I was like, life is just way too short to just be doing things you don't love and following those passions and those drivers. And she was always that big support to be like, mate, you can do absolutely anything that you want to do, which I think is really special for a parent to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. And it's very similar in the way that I've had 30 different jobs and then delved into different things that interested me. And people are like, I don't know, you get that perspective of either there's someone looking at it going, you should have been in the one job. Why did you get fired? Did you fail? Why do you keep switching all the time? And I think for me, I never listened to any of that. Like, of course, my parents were like, you probably should have went to uni and done the one thing. And I was like, I'm doing the things I love. And yes, it's maybe not the conditioned way or what we're taught to do, but it's led me to where I am now doing what I love. And I think, like you said, all those things along the way played their part and their role in my life to get me where I am. So I don't believe that it was a coincidence. I believe it was exactly what was supposed to happen. And now I can use the experience from those to live my life now.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Because I tell people that I was married at 22, now divorced, I'm nearly 30. They're like, sorry, what? You were married? And I'm like, yeah, I live with no regrets. I feel like if I didn't get married at that age, it probably wouldn't shape me to be the woman I am now, to realize, what my sexuality is. Because now I'm dating a girl. And it's just like, you have all these moments that can just sort of help you grow as an individual. And so live with just those no regrets, as cliche as it sounds, but you have to, because they do shape you.
Yeah, and I guess at the time it probably wasn't the most fun thing to go through, or there was probably low moments in that. But like you said, you learn from it, and having multiple pivotal moments is amazing, because it's always like you're shifting back into alignment. And what is that alignment? Who knows at the end of the day? But it could be whatever you want it to be. So how did you get into? Because you're a self-confessed sassy psychic witchy sister. Like, how did you get into all this stuff? I've been following you for a while, like obviously since we met. What you do is awesome. I can't wait to have a reading, but you're booked out so much. So yeah, how did you get into all of this? How did that even come up?
So I grew up with a really spiritual mum who was always into that sort of stuff. And I just remember thinking, no, I never want to get into that. It's all fake, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was a huge skeptic, and she always knew that I was going to end up within this space. So as a kid, I guess you would have like specific little downloads, or you'd feel things and hear things or whatnot. And I just sort of pushed them to the side. And it probably wasn't until the last 2 years where, like most people, I hit rock bottom after my divorce. I was partying, I was like doing drugs, I was just being an absolute idiot of a human. Then I sort of have this light bulb moment to be like, whoa, you need to wake up. You need to realize there's just more to life than what you're doing right now, running yourself into the ground. And I started really deep diving and just realizing the woman that I wanted to become and who I was becoming and whatnot. And I really started to tap into that intuitive side. And I just started doing readings on friends and family. And that's when I was like, oh, this is much more than just reading cards. Like, I'm getting messages from like past loved ones. I'm getting messages for people, and I'm able to sort of guide people on their journey. And then I got qualified as a Reiki practitioner to help people with like healing from their past as well too. And then I did my life coaching course because I just thought, why not? Because that's going to all come into the one. And here I am now, just like doing an abundance of things.
Whoa. It's crazy to go from that to that to that, and so many, like you
Mm,
said, so many multifaceted assets that
mhm.
you're doing now. And that, I love that, because I do the same thing. It's like people are like, what do you do? And I'm like, do you have time? Can you sit down? Like, there's kind of a few things. I can't wrap it up into a little thing. And then it's funny when my grandparents ask, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a teacher. Just
I
that's
love that.
I can't go down. Oh, I help people connect back into who they are through consciousness and awareness. They're going to be like, huh?
Oh,
In their
what?
Italian sort of accent, they're like,
Mhm.
"Como?" So
Love that.
it's keeping it really simple for them. But I
Mm,
love that we're allowed to be
mhm,
multifaceted. Like, I think what we're being told to only be the one thing is like, no, you've got so
mm,
many unique things about you that's, amazing, and that you can do. When was it for you that you really started to tap into those things, though? Was it so for energy, for I guess the
mhm,
spiritual side? You always had the mum that did it, and then
mhm,
you were like, I was open, but not really. Was it just
mhm,
like, well, I'm gonna just try it? Were you
mhm.
like, I guess, skeptical a little bit, but I'm gonna try it, and then when you stepped into it, you're like, this feels right, or it feels
Mhm.
good.
Exactly that. I was just one day, I just found like my old oracle cards and I was like, I'll just play with these. And then I was like, oh, this feels really nice. This feels really good. I'm just gonna like keep going with this and see what happens. And then the same thing happened when I did my Reiki practitioner training. I was doing it and I was like, why does this feel second nature? And then I did my research about Aboriginal healers out in the outback. And I was like, oh my gosh, like light bulb moment. Like Aboriginal people, we're born spiritual. It's like in our blood. So everything just felt like right. And I was just like, I'm in the right space. This is where I need to be. And I just kept like unearthing so much and just, I'll probably keep doing that for the rest of my life, just doing lots. But yeah, it's just everything felt really good. So I was like, why not give it a crack? What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Yeah, I love
Mm,
that. What did it feel like to like kind of connect to that heritage, connect to that lineage of like being a healer, and
mhm.
um in the modalities that you do, like how was that feeling?
So good. Like, I think it's really sacred and really special. And I mean, you would understand because you have an Italian background. We have these connections with our culture that sometimes we can't explain to people
Yep.
who don't have that love, nourishment, connection. And it's just, it's really sacred and it's really special. And I love that I'm able to be this strong Aboriginal woman and educate people on my culture, but incorporate my cultural values in my business as well too, which I think is just like beyond powerful. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. I think it's like
Yeah.
really special and sacred.
I love that. And it's something that I never looked back into mine. I was like, oh, there's Italian, and there's, I don't know what mum's kind of side is, English,
Mhm.
Scottish, or something like that. And when I started asking questions and researching it, I found out that my Italian side have psychic sort of connections.
Love
And
that.
I'm like, why has no one talked about this? And it was like, oh, because they all said you're the weird one, or they're the weird ones.
Mhm.
Don't talk to them. They're just loopy. And I'm like, I feel like I've inherited it, and it's kind of not my role, because I don't think it's a force upon me, or there's any pressure, but it's like I'm now uncovering that and
Mhm.
connecting to it and going, awesome, I'm going to use it in my life, and
Mm.
really step into it, which is, yeah, like you said, it feels so good to just be
Mhm.
in that, but connected to family and heritage as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I loved what you said about you sort of having that ability because people think that being psychic or intuitive, it's only within that spiritual space. But we can use that intuitive side to ourselves to help us grow, help us make decisions within our business space as well too. So I think that's really important that you've touched on that as well too. Yeah.
Yeah, I love being able to, I guess my whole line of work is how to integrate the spiritual world and the physical world and bring them together so that we can live in
Mm,
this world, and not go too far either way, because there kind of will be an imbalance of like, we're in the real world and doing the real thing. Have you ever found that in your line of work, or have you experienced that before, where you kind of delve too far down physical, like working a job and just doing
mhm,
working for the man,
mhm.
or too far down the spiritual side where it's like, hang on, I've still got responsibilities and things to do as a human?
I don't think too far down the spiritual side of things because I think that's just me and it feels so right. But with that physical, that 9 to 5, it never felt good for me and it never felt right. And it was just almost like I was just, that was my ego living that life, if that makes sense, like working that 9 to 5, that it was satisfying that. And I'm so glad I'm out of that space and just living as present and spiritually as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And there's so many posts that you've done in the past week, but then also in the past few weeks, that some topics that you're really passionate about. And I want to ask, what's something right now that you're super passionate about talking about, or just passionate about in general?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's two things I'm like super passionate about. One of them is like body image, body positivity, empowering women to just not care about what they look like. And we shouldn't be comparing our bodies to other women, and we should just love us for who we are. I think that's something I'm really passionate about talking about. And the second one is decolonizing the wellness space. I work in this space where it is very white dominated. And I just felt like when I walked into this space, I was like, where's the cultural protocol, so to speak, in certain spaces? Where's the cultural awareness? So I feel as though, given the platform I've been given on social media, it's really important for me to passionately talk about those two things.
Yeah,
Mm.
I love it. Let's dig in.
Mm.
I'd love to dive into this. And this is where
Mm.
you did a post about honoring your own heritage, sort of sacred rituals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, interesting. I've never thought about that. I just
Mm-hmm.
did it kind of because everyone else did, type thing, or that's
Yeah.
what I was shown. So
Mm-hmm.
why is that? How did that become something where you're just like, well, hang on, like, okay, maybe not wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
let's get educated on these things.
Yeah, I think when I started working, I guess, in that witchy sort of space, I had no idea either when I was burning like sage, or I was just like doing certain rituals in my day-to-day life. And I thought, okay, where is this actually coming from? I need to find out whose culture I am using. I need to understand more about that. And I did that post not as an attack to anybody, but for people just to have that awareness of, okay, you do yoga every day. Where does yoga come from? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you say namaste at the end of that yoga practice. Why do you say that? Like, what is the meaning behind that? And I just was like, I need to talk about this on my social media,
Mm-hmm.
because so many people just sort of spit that love and light in that wellness space as well too, that I'm like, I don't believe it's all love and light. I think we need to be culturally safe and aware, and we understand that our practices aren't Australian, they are from other cultures. So I think that post blew up in that
Mm-hmm.
respect, because people were like, oh my God, I need to find out like what I've got and what I've been doing. And like, I need to change everything. I was like, don't go and change everything dramatically. Go and educate yourself on where that actually comes from before you start adding those practices into your business.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was a really conscious post for people to be like, okay, I need to sit with that. I need to unlearn what I already know in order to just move forward that little more.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And it, like you said, it's just awareness. It's not like you're saying, hey,
Mm.
don't do this thing. It's let's become aware so you actually connect to it and know why you're doing it.
Exactly that, exactly that. Because I mean, there was things that I was doing that I had no idea. So it was me unlearning things that I was doing and just making sure that my business was culturally appropriate as well too. Because we do see that a lot, where a lot of businesses are just using so much of other people's culture and without any awareness whatsoever. And I'm just like, no, that needs to really, really change.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
What's something that you've either known or discovered that's like an Australian sacred ritual that for the Australians that are listening?
Nothing. Well, see, that's the thing. So I'm unlearning what I already know, and I'm still deep diving as to what I should know. I don't think there's anything Australian specific ritual wise in terms of Aboriginal culture. There always is. Um, but it's not for a white person to
Yep.
use, if that makes sense. So, for example, we have the Yidaki, which is the didgeridoo, and a lot of white people, men in particular, will use that in yoga spaces. And I'm like, we can't use that. That's ours. That's our sacred
Oh.
instrument. That's, you just don't do that. So I don't think there's Australian specific rituals, but yes, Aboriginal specific rituals 100%. But like I said, a lot of people just have no idea.
Yeah.
Have no idea. And that's okay. That's what we're here to talk about. That's what we're here to unlearn. Yeah.
And like you said, that's why we have these platforms to raise awareness on many different topics. And this could be just one of them. And again, it was something I've never seen someone talk about in this way ever. So for me, it was awareness of going, oh, let's do some research.
Yeah.
And that allows me to be even more connected to it. When we had we held an Align event in Mildura last year, we had about 60 people there, and we had the locals come down and do I'm not 100% sure what leaves it was. It could have been eucalyptus leaves. And they did a whole ceremony at the start. And I was like, this is great. Like, I love this. It's cultural, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've never experienced before. And it was just a special moment. Like, I guess if you go to the origins of where they started using sage or Palo Santo, any of those things, it's being immersed in that, being with someone that is into that or deep into that, that's expressing it from culture. It is very special. So it's an amazing awareness to kind of find those things out and to find what could be yours, and just even to find out about other things that we're using in everyday life. That can we can go down a whole rabbit hole of, like, you could look at health and going, if you're not aware of the things you're putting into your body, well, then you're just kind of doing things on autopilot. If you're not aware of why you're doing, let's say, the job you're doing or the career you're doing, you're just on autopilot. So this awareness is like, this is what the Conscious Podcast, consciousness is awareness. So we're raising awareness on so many different topics. What about the body image? What did you say? Was it body positivity?
Yeah, body positivity. Yeah, because I've been a curve model and I know that industry pretty well. It's pretty hectic. I did a post, I think it was yesterday, where the other day I saw some comments from some people just calling, some curvier women, like, just fat shaming them and just saying, go and get on a treadmill. And I was like, I don't know why that's triggered me. And then I just got thinking and I was like, how is it okay for people to tell bigger women that they need to go on a treadmill when they're maybe already doing that? How is society thinking that it's not okay for larger women to wear activewear or things like that? So it just got me thinking, like, we need to, like, embrace our bodies for what they are, but also accept that larger bodies can be fit and can be healthy and whatnot. But I've always just sort of grown up as well too, and been in friendship circles where I'm all about empowering women to just be whoever the hell they want to be, no matter what they look like, no matter where they come from. And I think that's something, again, with the social media platform, is really important for me to talk about, because there may be not a lot of other platforms that deep dive within that too and just make people a little bit uncomfortable. But this is why we're on this podcast, right? To create that consciousness of people being like, oh, okay, like, I need to understand this more. But I think it's really important, and it's important for young girls as well too, to have something, women to look at, that have real bodies, that aren't airbrushed and aren't just filled with fillers and things like that. So I think that's why I'm just so passionate about it, because I certainly don't want my kids to come into a world thinking that a certain body type is the only body type that is, like, acceptable in society. I think that's, problematic. But I think that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Amazing. Did you have any struggle with that growing up or in your life? And yeah.
Yeah, so growing up, I mean, I personally struggled with identity issues as an Aboriginal woman, but I also was, that larger kid, blah, blah, blah. So always I did, and it took me a little while to just accept who I was and just love my body for what it could do and what it was and whatnot. So it took me a while, but 100% I grew up with that back and forth of being like, I'll only be happy if I'm a size 8 or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. Society made me think that's what I needed, but I didn't need that at all.
Yeah. So how did you get to that place of accepting you, your body, your heritage?
It was almost like a mindset sort of thing for me to be like, Who cares? Who cares what people think? Like, stop comparing. Just do you. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. Accept your culture for what it is. Don't listen to those minorities of people that have this misconception of Aboriginal culture and Aboriginal people. And I just sort of, I don't know, I just accepted it. And it does take a lot for people just to really accept who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But you would know, working in this space as well too. It's all about our mindset and how we're putting those high vibes out there. And if we're putting those high vibes out there, we're going to attract those certain people to us as well too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I just accept me for me.
Amazing. And it's such a powerful place to be in.
Mm.
What do you see happening with, and maybe it could have been from your experience as well, but I'm sure with working with women, you see this, is for the people that are struggling to accept themselves, what are the things they're going through or feeling if they're not accepting themselves?
I think it's hard. It's so hard because everybody is so different. And I think everybody's so different depending on their past experiences, their past traumas, and things like that. I just don't be so hard on yourself if you are hating. I know hate is a strong word, but we go through that if we're hating certain aspects of our body. It's okay to go through that phase, but it's almost like unlearn what you already know about yourself and start to redefine your thinking of who you are. And just start to almost, I give my clients this example of when you wake up in the morning, I don't want you to go straight to the negative about you. I want you to go straight to the positive and just say, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am powerful, rather than just being like, oh my God, like, yuck, I hate myself. I want you to go straight to the positive. And so many clients have started doing that, but they're like, it's almost like setting me up for that positivity for the rest of the day and switching my mindset to just love me for me. So it is a journey. I'm not going to give people, it's a hard journey, but give yourself that time and that space to allow yourself to love who you really are.
Yeah. And I think it's such powerful language in your life because probably for so long, and in some cases it's 10, 20, 30, 40 years I've had with some clients of the language being, I'm ugly, I don't like myself, my body's wrong, or it's too big or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like those little things, like even just starting your day, as you said, hey, Louise, hey, how you start your days, how you live your day, how you live your days, how
Mm-hmm.
you live your life. That mindset shift is what I talk about a lot lately. But the mindset shift in the morning and starting to reprogram that language with yourself, it's the relationship with yourself. And I think it
Mm-hmm.
always related back to, it's quite interesting because there is men speaking up in this space now
Mm-hmm.
more. But for me, it was always something where I was comfortable to share that I didn't like who I was. I didn't like my body. I had identity crisis, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a long time to let alone accept who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And now be in a place where like, I love it. I was showing you before I shaved my head because why not?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm not attached to, oh, will they like me? Will they not? I have to be like this and then I'll be accepted. It's like, it's my choice. Like if people love me, they will, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I need to love who I am. And from there started such a powerful journey. So the back end of that question is, what happens when women step, or anyone steps into a place of acceptance and then love for who they are and their bodies?
It's like the best feeling when you do step into that magic.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're so self-aware of who you are and who you are becoming that you just don't give a crap about anybody else around you in that respect. Like everyone is staying in their lane. You don't need to worry about, the size 6 lady that's next to you. Like she's probably going through the exact same thing with her body at the moment. But we don't realize those things while we are going through those changes within ourselves. But once you get there, it is like a whole different world and a whole different world of self-love, acceptance, and just empowerment. And when you are in that space and high vibing, that's when you're going to be able to give that energy back to other women or other people in that respect too, which I think is really important because it's almost like a little ripple effect to
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the world.
Yeah, I love
Mm.
that. And you said before, it's a journey or it's a process. Like it's not a destination. It's something we're constantly going to be working on and giving back to ourselves because
Mhm.
for so long we've been against ourselves or saying these things. So Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. And I see and feel that empowerment from acceptance. And that's why I'm so big on teaching gratitude at the start. And then obviously, like you said, going through the traumas
Mhm.
and all that sort of stuff to reshift things in the mind. Would you say you're living your purpose?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And if you asked me a year ago, I would have said no, but yes, 100%. And I think our purpose, I don't think there's a definitive answer to our purpose. I think we are always evolving and growing, and it's always expanding our purpose. So, right here and right now, 100%. And it will just keep getting better and better, I think, from this point on. Yeah.
I love that. And how can other people live their purpose?
I love that. My advice is literally, what's the worst that's going to happen if you jumped in the deep end? Oh, you fail. So what? That's a learning curve. Get back up and try again. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Mhm.
And that's the mentality that I had to have coming into being a solo, self-employed boss lady. I was like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? In 6 months' time, I have to go and get a job at Coles or something. That's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that whatsoever. Um, Deep dive, go for it. Just do it. Like, you don't want to regret in 40 years' time, like working a 9 to 5 job and not having found your purpose, or just being in a position where you're working in your passion and your driver. Just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like, it's so, like you said, it's always evolving. So you might jump into one thing and then it might evolve into something else. Look at
Mhm.
our journeys of like the different things
Yeah,
we've done.
exactly that. So yeah, what's the worst thing that could happen? Just go for it.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost the fear setting that Tim Ferriss says on his TEDx talk on YouTube, where he goes like, again, the thing that you really want to do and maybe you've been wanting to do for so long, set like instead of the goal setting, set a fear setting and go, well, what's the worst that could happen? Okay, I have to go back and get a job. You were
Mhm.
doing that anyway. Like, but
Exactly.
imagine, like you said, imagine living a life where you didn't actually go for it. And
Hmm.
being a former athlete, that's all you were surrounded by was people that were like, oh, I could have done this, or I wish I had have done that. I could have went really far. I could have made pro. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, but why didn't you actually go for it? And yes, everyone's got different circumstances, but
Mm-hmm.
I know within me, like I went for it and then I fell out of love with it. And it's like, but I'm so grateful that I actually went for it because
Yeah.
it taught me lessons and experience that now I can take into everything else that I do. I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to look back and go, I could have, well, we can always look back and say could have, would have, should have. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if we're going to look at it and accept and be
Mm.
like, grateful that I did and I went for it. And now I'm going for it and like yourself in my own unique way in business. And this element of podcasting is just one of them. So
Exactly.
at the very first one, I was like, what if no one listens? What if I only get to 2 episodes and don't enjoy it? What if I can't communicate?
Mm.
We're at almost 100 now. It's like, start it. The worst thing, I
Mm.
just close it and no one knows. No one listens. That
Exactly.
means no one knows I even started it. All good. What
I love
is
it. But you've given it a crack though. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
the other end of that was yes, I did have some expectation, but it was more so goals. It wasn't expectations of I need to have Joe Rogan downloads because
Mm.
it's a very high expectation.
Yeah.
And there's so many elements that go to that. But it's like if I'm doing it and I'm enjoying it and loving it and feeling good, it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to go do a podcast. That's when I know that that would be the wrong thing. But if I'm
Mm.
enjoying it and loving it, then that's a clear indication of just do it.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't, and at the start, this is like a really big thing that I talk about is I didn't do it for money. I didn't do it for any other purpose other than it's combining things I'm really good at and things that I love and in a way that I can serve the world. And I was like, awesome, I'll do
Mm.
it. That also led into the community, led into the retreats, led into the programs, led into meeting
Mm.
me and you,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with amazing people. And now it's just evolving even more. So you follow that little spark and it becomes a flame if you keep
That's it.
kind of putting the fuel to it. What is success to you?
Success. I feel like I don't have like a specific answer. I think success for me is like just that feeling of being content. I don't know, like, I don't care how much money I have in my bank account. I don't care, like, do you know what I mean? I don't care about
Yeah.
those material things whatsoever. It's about me being content and just knowing that I've done what I needed to do and have done all those things for me. So success is just me being absolutely content with who I am and the life that I am like currently in. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm.
What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you, and how is that the best thing that has ever happened to
Mm.
you?
Well, yeah, probably like going back to mum was probably the worst thing that did happen, was just losing my mum at such a young age, 17. But I always say to people, it was almost just like the best thing in that respect, because I probably wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't experience that and I didn't have to grow through that and I didn't have to like almost just be an adult in such a short amount of time. But yeah, that's the worst but the best, as bad as that
Yeah.
sounds. But yeah, it's, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I love how you've drawn. Yes, it's a situation where we're not going, that was the best thing ever that happened,
Mm,
but it's drawing the lessons to go, well, it made me who I am today.
that's it. Exactly. It has. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What is the best advice you've ever been given?
Best advice was literally mum. I just remember her saying when I was like 15, 16, and she's just like, you have the ability to just create the best life for yourself. You just need to go for it. What is the worst thing that's going to happen? And I always say that. I mean, I said that like 5 minutes ago, but like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? She just always set me up for just give it a crack. Just give it a crack. Yeah.
I love that.
No,
She sounds
important.
super
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah, she was.
And now you get to live on and share that message as well, which is
I know.
incredible, coming through your work and coming through our conversation, which is
Mm,
amazing.
so
What
nice.
what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Um, so much. I think the advice that I would give to my 16-year-old self is just don't don't stress about becoming an adult so quickly. Just be present in where you are and know that everything has its purpose and it's not the end of the world if you do fail.
Mhm.
Because I think as teenagers too, we are just so like, we want to be the best and we want to be like showing up in the best. And it's just like we put so much pressure on ourselves that we're never just present in growing up and being a kid and being a teenager. So I think that's probably the advice that I would give myself, is just like, just be present, mate. Like, just chill.
Everything's
Mm.
gonna work out.
Literally, everything will work out. Everything has its purpose in place.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm.
What's the impact that you want to have on people, the community, and the world?
The impact. I want to leave this world knowing that I have made changes for my community, as in the Aboriginal community, just like my great grandfather did. So, my great grandfather he did a lot. Sir Doug Nichols, the AFL round is named after him. He did a lot
Oh,
of work in
whoa.
community, a lot of activism. And I just want to leave this world knowing that I've helped my community. Like I said, money is just not, I don't care about money. It's about me almost, leading the path for the younger generations to be like, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
And I just want to be that perfect role model for them.
I love that so much. Did you always want that? Was that always the impact you wanted to have, or is that developed recently?
I think it's developed over the last couple of years, because I always thought, oh, I just want to, whatever, do the best I can and whatnot. And now I've just been given these opportunities where I'm like, oh, this is a universe saying like you have the capability to make the change and you have the capability to be that leader that you never had as an Aboriginal girl. So I think it's important for me to be that change maker, lead change, and just curate that path so that those younger gens can come through and be like, oh my gosh, like I can do this. Yeah, I think it's really, really important for me.
Yeah.
Mm,
How can other people do that as well? So someone listening, they're like, I want to I want to do that as well. I want to make an impact for the next generation. How exactly are you doing that through your work? Or how
I'm
can you do
doing,
that through your work?
yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I'm doing it through my work by creating cultural awareness and education around Aboriginal culture and making sure
Yeah.
that I guess my business is just safe in that respect in the wellness space too. But I think for people to be able to do that, it's just like hone in what you actually want to do. What's that niche? What are you trying to change? Are you wanting to make, better changes for youth or for people your own age? Just figure out exactly what you want to do and don't be afraid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has the capability to make change. It's just a matter of us using our minds to be like, I can do this. Like, I want to make change. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think by you sharing your stories, your vulnerability, your journey, that's having such a massive impact and leading the way. Like even
Mm.
just that, even just sharing that, and you share some really funny stuff as well. Like it's just real and open, and it's like this is me. Like I'm doing that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's leading that path as well, which I think is super inspiring, and it's amazing to be connected with you to see all of that.
Mm.
What does it mean to be conscious?
It's all about, for me, I love how I just took a deep breath as I did that. I was like, it is all about me being as present as possible in absolutely everything that I am doing. I have to almost be 100% fully aware when I'm with people. I have to be giving them my all and giving my all in every aspect of my business and personal life, but being present 100%. Yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah. And is
Mm.
there any words or anything you'd like to say to anyone listening that comes from you in your heart space right now that you feel called to share?
I feel as though a lot of people are putting too much pressure on themselves right here and right now, given our current climate. And I just want people to slow down and be present and understand that whatever you're doing right now, it's okay. Whatever you are doing, you do not have to be running a marathon right now. You can just be as present as you want to be. Mm.
I love it. It's been incredible speaking with you. Thank you for being so raw, so vulnerable, and sharing all those insights of your life and your wisdom. It's been incredible to connect with you from the first time we connected, but also to
Mm.
share this space with you and to share more about your story. Like I've learned so much. Like this is why I love this, because I get to have these conversations, but know more about you because we've never had this
Mm.
opportunity. Like when do we ever really sit down with a kind of a stranger that we kind of know for an hour and deep dive
That's
into
it.
questions? Let's do more of this stuff. Like I just happened to
Exactly.
record it and put it online. So everyone else can
Mm.
get to know Allira as well.
I
But I love
love
that.
that.
Thank you so much for your time and for your honesty and everything. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you and everything that you do.
Amazing. Well, for you guys listening, if anything has triggered you, inspired you, or stood out to you, make sure you go and screenshot this, whatever device you're listening on, post it on Instagram. We love Instagram tags and stories. So
Mm.
tag Allira. Where can people actually find you in all the things that you do?
Yeah, just via Insta, allira.potter is where it's at. And then you'll just be linked to absolutely everything.
Amazing. That's super simple.
Yeah.
Tag the podcast in there as well. If you've got any feedback, reach out to us and let us know. We love knowing how these conversations have impacted you or inspired you, or you've related to it in some way. That's, I guess, why we do what we do, is to
Mm.
share and inspire people along the way. So until next time, everyone, and Allira, peace out.